The purpose of this tutorial is to show how to create an adaptive sweep feature in CATIA's Generative Shape Design Workbench with no pre-existing geometry. The Generative Shape Design Workbench in CATIA version 5 allows the user to model surfaces using a variety of tools, a surface being geometry that has no thickness. The Adaptive Sweep feature is one of these tools, which allows a profile sketch to be swept and varied in dimension along a guiding curve. The adaptive sweep is a powerful tool because it allows for the creation of complicated shapes from a single profile. This tutorial is primarily for eTech 362 students who will be working in the Generative Shape Design Workbench in CATIA version 5 and have already completed eTech 113. But it may also be a useful refresher for students taking eTech 426, for which eTech 362 is a prerequisite. You will also need access to a computer with CATIA version 5 installed on it. It is important to save your progress often as you create your adaptive sweep feature, or any feature for that matter. Failure to do so may result in losing any progress that has been made in your CATIA file. It is also important to note that any feature you wish to manipulate along your sweep must be dimensioned in the original profile sketch. You will not be able to manipulate a feature that is not dimensioned. The guiding curve that is used must also be continuous in tangency in order for the adaptive sweep feature to be completed. If it is not, CATIA will not be able to figure out how to generate geometry through this non-tangent section of the guide curve. The profile sketch also needs to be normal to the spine of the feature, which for our purposes will be the same curve as the guide curve. If it is not normal to the spine, the feature will not be able to be created. The first step is to open CATIA version 5. Once CATIA is up and running, click on Start at the upper left corner of the screen, hover over Shape, and then select the Generative Shape Design Workbench. This will automatically create a new part file to work in. You may need to expand the tree on the left side of your screen and right-click the part to define it as your in-work object. At this point, you are ready to start building geometry for your adaptive sweep. Click on the Point Creation button and define the starting point of your future guide curve. For this demonstration, we will simply define the origin as the start point. The point type should read coordinates, and if it does not, select coordinates from the drop-down menu. The coordinates should already be set to 0 for x, y, and z. If not, enter 0 as the value for x, y, and z. Click OK in the point definition dialog box. We will now create our guide curve. For this demonstration, we will simply create a two-dimensional curve using a sketch. To do so, click on the Sketch button and then select one of the default planes. To create a relatively complex curve, click on the Spline button. Begin your spline at the point previously created at the origin by clicking on it. Define your spline by clicking anywhere on the screen. Avoid creating curves that are too sharp. Remember, the guide curve must be continuous in tangency. To end your spline creation, double-click and exit the sketch by clicking on the Exit Workbench button. This guide curve does not need to be dimensioned. Define points along your guide curve where you would like to be able to manipulate the geometry of the profile sketch. A quick way to create multiple points at equal intervals is to select the drop-down menu from the Point Creation button and to select points in plane repetition. Click on your guide curve and enter the number of points that you would like between the start and end points of your guide curve. Click OK. Create a curve that is normal to your guide curve by clicking on the Plane button. You may have to find it in the drop-down list where it was previously visible. Select Normal to Curve from the Plane Type drop-down menu. Select the guide curve as your curve and define one of the endpoints as the point. Click OK. Create a new sketch on the newly created plane the same way that you created the guide curve. This sketch will be the profile that is swept along the guide curve. Create the desired profile and dimension any features you wish to manipulate. Once the desired profile is created and fully dimensioned, exit the sketch and save your work. Click the background to deselect your profile sketch. Select the Adaptive Sweep button from the drop-down list under the Sweep button. Define the guide curve as the guiding curve. This will also define the spline. Select the profile sketch as the sketch. Click on the points along the guide curve that you want to change the dimensions of your profile at. This works best if you select them in order, although it is not essential. Switch to the Parameters tab. There will be a Current Section drop-down list to select the point at which you would like to edit the dimensions. The dimensions you created in your profile sketch should appear and be editable. Vary the dimensions, then select a new Current Section from the drop-down list and vary the dimensions at the new sections. Continue this process for all of the sections. Once you have changed the geometry at each point, click on Preview to see if the resulting geometry is as desired. If not, continue to edit parameters at different sections. Otherwise, click OK. Don't forget to save your work, and now the adaptive sweep is finished. As you can see, this single tool can be used to create relatively complicated geometry. This concludes our adaptive sweep tutorial.